There's a version of financial peace of mind that most people never find, and it's not their fault. It's because they were never shown how to achieve it.
We've had this conversation probably 1,000 times by now with clients in their living rooms, on the phone, on Zoom. And for the ones that get it, it has nothing to do with their job, their income level, or anything like that. It has to do with their mindset. There's a certain kind of person who discovers this concept and really doesn't necessarily understand it intellectually. But then something shifts. The way they think about a dollar changes. The way they think about the future changes. And they really can't explain when it happened. They just know that it did. Those are the people we built this show for.
Wes is a lineman. He works with his hands, he keeps the lights on. And 3 years ago, he made a decision that most people at any income level, in any profession whatsoever, never make. He decided to stop being a customer of the banks and become his own banker. What he's built since then isn't remarkable because of the numbers, even though those are remarkable. It's remarkable because of what it took and what it says about what's actually possible. Wes Howard, welcome to the Wealth Warehouse Podcast.
Let's get into it.
Here's what separates the people who get results from the people who don't. It's not who's got the best illustration. It's not who pays the highest premium. It's who actually builds the system and then uses it. Wes didn't just open a policy and put it on the shelf. Let's talk about how this actually unfolded. So Wes, let's talk about when you did your first real IBC style policy. So you got rid of that IUL, 1035 that, started your whole life policy, properly structured, optimally funded, and you put it to work. Last week, we did an episode on the capitalization phase. So I guess technically you're kind of in that capitalization phase, right? You've had it open 3 years or so. Just tell us about it. What's that been like for you, like the early years of this policy?
Well, my situation was we were riddled with some debt from this remodel. And I'm not going to say it wasn't from bad decisions, but there were a lot of factors that were involved in there. And we did a good job on the property, but now it was stuck into the walls of our home, right? It was stuck into my 401k, which was locked up. So I thought for just a second, wait a minute, I just opened this. What am I doing? Let me practice becoming my own banker. So I took my first loan pretty early on just to kind of test the waters, just to be honest with you. I got it and understood it, but there were still some nerves there, if you will. But you guys walked me right through it, and I immediately decided on that one I was going to pay back a little bit per month just to see if I could create a habit. And then anytime I got storm work or some overtime, I would dump in more so I could try to tackle that more efficiently. I actually just got to finish some of that up just this past week as well. So that was nice.
So you fully repaid your loan?
Yes, sir.
Oh, nice.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations.
And I knew that I was going to have a little further horizon from what our situation was. So I was trying to give myself a little bit of grace. I'm so fortunate. My wife is so graceful with me, and she was pretty nervous at first because there were some huge numbers, and it makes you look pretty bad as a husband and a father when you've got a couple of $100,000 that's on the wrong side of things. But once you can play this into this policy, because that time is going to pass anyway, just like what Nelson used to tell us, why not do it in an efficient manner and do it with IBC so you can recapture all that interest? And the more you go, the more you look forward to it. I look forward to paying our policies more than I do our birthdays now. I love it.
Nice.
It is pretty good.
The truth is, Wes is just, he's in his early 40s now. So it's birthdays are,
Tries to forget about them, but he's got to
forget about it.
He's a grandpa though. He's a grandpa already.
Yeah,
That's right. And he's got his own policy as well.
Yep, sure does.
Yep. And who's responsible for that one?
We are right now.
Yeah. Nice. So you're teaching the next generation. So grandkid has a policy. You got the kids on board yet?
I've got one of them, his own policy, and we're working on structuring the other two. There's some more conversations involved there with some life that's happened.
Yeah.
but we're working on that. I think we've got a total of 5 and working on 6 maybe.
Right. I
Yeah.
Gotta
love it.
have
So you
someplace.
not a one and done.
No, sir.
So Wes, was there any either internal to your own mind or external, from Uncle Bob's or former or coworkers or something that were like, "Hey man, like this is stupid. Why are you doing this?" Was any of that into your mind the last 3 years, or any kind of poking and prodding from people in your circle?
Yeah, absolutely. My sweet wife finally said, "Look, I'm going to give it up to prayer and I'm going to pray that God either thumps you on the head and gets you straight or straightens me out and figures out that you got something going here." So again, I owe everything to her and guiding me and being supportive through this whole thing. She just kind of handed it over in prayer. But it was funny at work. There's a IBC root beer brand. And so that started a pretty hilarious joke
Yeah.
with about 50
That's
dudes.
right.
And so they're always telling us, there's a couple of other guys that are clients of you guys as well. And they're like, yeah, we're invested in this root beer company with Wes. And so it's funny to listen now because I'm not one to say I told you so, but one of these days you're going to be able to say that.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. That's got to be tough. I mean, so you got naysayers, of course. We all do when you talk about this process and the product. Um, how have you kept over the last 3 years yourself grounded so that you're not constantly rethinking your decision? Um, how have you made sure that you're not just on an island by yourself saying, okay, I did this thing. Now I gotta, keep it going. And even though everybody else is telling me not to do it and to do something different, like how have you battled that?
Two different things. First of all, I stay in the books and I listen to, I don't know, 20, 30 hours worth of podcasts and audiobooks every week. I'm ate up with it, man. I absolutely love it. And the other thing is surrounding myself. Like I said, I'm involved with that group, and everybody there is either a practitioner or involved with somebody that is. And there's people from all across the country. There's a couple of guys from Florida, one from Oregon, California, a couple from Pennsylvania, one in Carolinas and Louisiana, and I think there's 3 or 4 or 5 of us from Texas. But surrounding myself with those guys that are ahead in their journey as I am, and just bouncing ideas off of each other. It's an accountability group, but it's also a business ideas group, growth, everything mindset. Going back to wanting to be better, I think it's your right responsibility as the man of a household to do the best job that you possibly can for your family. And that's what I've tried to stay in contact with other gentlemen that has that same mindset.
So how is this a virtual group? You guys meet like monthly, weekly? How's that
We
work?
meet
And how'd you find that group?
we meet every week, and it's through a Zoom, and there's usually an outline there. It's an hour long, but we touch base with one another or any kind of projects that maybe somebody has or any growth opportunities and things like that. The beautiful thing is I'm involved with one of those through you guys as well. And so it's created a natural networking opportunity because some of those gentlemen, as I share it, they're like, "Oh yeah, the thing with David Paul, we're already in that." I'm like, "Okay, never mind. Cool." So it's kind of nice.
So Paul and I always talk like this being involved in this business or this arena, just, Paul and I as practitioners, but also as just users of the infinite banking concept has expanded our networks pretty dramatically and made a big difference. So it sounds like you've seen the same thing. Is there anything specific that's come out of, you look back and you say, I made this one decision to start infinite banking, start this process. And you look back and you say, wow, if I'd never done that, I never would have either met this person or seen this opportunity or been exposed to this over here.
Yeah, that same particular group, one of the smaller groups within that, they do some meetups sometimes, and I've got to involve and have my children and my wife involved with them. They know them personally. So again, the recurrent theme with my family, wanting to leave something better for them. And it's fun to see your kid's face. They're older. They're now 26, fixing to be 23 and 19, and then a grandbaby involved as well. But watching that play out in front of your eyes and realize that these people that you've networked with are serious, but they're serious on a loving level, right? They're not up there bad mouthing or talking trash, or they're not arrogant, or, their egos aren't bigger than themselves. They're putting others before their own situations. And to be able to have my family see that, it's priceless. You can't put a tag on that.
Great, man.
I love it.
Yeah. So many good relationships that come out of this business and this network, yours included.
Well, yeah, well, that's what they say. I read that. Gosh, I forget who said that. Some like real estate education I took a bunch of years ago, but it was this guy, and he said, like, your network is your net worth, and that has really been true for me, and I believe it. You look. I tell my kids, like, you look at your 5 closest friends, right? You're going to be them, so make sure those 5 are the right people, because that's who you're going to be.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, if you hang out with 4 broke people, you're going to be the 5th. You hang out with 4 fat people, you're going to be the 5th fat person in that group.
Right.
Like almost guaranteed. It's like a science. It's a law of nature. And if you hang out with 4 millionaires, you'll be the 5th one. Oh,
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's cool having my mom and dad involved too.
Yeah.
It spins off natural conversations. And my dad's pretty comical. He's pretty hilarious just naturally. So we get to talking about some of this, and he's pretty colorful on his thoughts and comments about the government and just where they stand in his eyes. And I told him he needs to work for Hallmark and can make some cards on that.
Yeah. Well, so was Nelson.
Good. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Let's go back to your policy loan. You said you've already repaid it. It sounded like you didn't expect to have it repaid by now. Like, what have you found to be different from taking a loan and repaying it from what you thought it would be like initially? Because it sounded like you had a little trepidation, and your wife was a little worried maybe about taking these loans and how you guys are going to manage that. What's that been like?
Well, the beautiful thing is it's too easy to log back in and see those numbers, come back alive. And when they do, you just get to use it again. It's not like a traditional loan. You pay it back to a third-party financier and it's gone forever.
Right.
And so the beautiful thing about paying this back is now I got to have another spot for premium, right? And not to go too deep, but what's beautiful is now we get to open another policy, and we come into, a pretty good sum of money, but we're going to structure it for not right away. Right. The whole point is it's going to cover what the rest of my debt is, but there's no point in borrowing it out to zero. You're missing the forest for the trees when you do that. You have to keep that baseline zero and have that comfortable buffer zone. But my plan is to be able to take these and pay off the rest of this, so I don't have anything else. Right. So you have to look in that long-term horizon, the 1 to 3 year, the 5 to 10 year, the 20 year, the 50 and on. And then past me once I'm gone, right? That's why it's so important to practice this right in front of my children so they see it firsthand. I don't want to leave them with a bunch of money with no instructions. I want to leave them with a system.
Oh, man. Mark that on the tape. That was brilliant.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, Wes, I think your story resonates with hundreds of thousands of people across this country, and, ourselves included, right? So once we get past that, all right, we've eliminated the debt piece, and then we've rebuilt our system. Now we've replenished it. And now we're on to kind of bigger and better things, right? Now we're looking for, you mentioned being part of a mastermind of like-minded men who, it's not only just a group that encourages each other, but it's a group that, brings each other different opportunities, right? Because there's always somebody, I've always found that there's always somebody doing something cool that potentially that I could be a part of, like my podcast partner here, Dave, or you, or somebody else. So what do you think, beyond, in a few years from now, you've got more capital, you continue to pay your premiums. What do you see yourself doing? Is there any like passion project or anything that you're interested in getting more involved in from a financial point of view?
I'll be honest, what's neat is that you hear from these other guys and their vulnerability and what didn't work for them or what they thought they might like. Hey, this is good on paper, but then they get into it and it's terrible. And so I know that that's down the road. It's not right now, but what I'm doing is taking it in right now, is storing that up for knowledge down the road. I thought I would be interested in some real estate stuff, and it's not that I'm not, but I've almost become uninterested in some of that now by hearing some of these stories.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I have friends that own RV parks and storage sheds, and they do well with them.
Mm-hmm.
But I hear the other side of that too, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not all roses sometimes.
And it's not all
So
passive income,
No,
yeah,
right?
no,
yeah.
it's not. This, you listen to all these podcasts back in the day on Bigger Pockets, and it was very entertaining and very, I learned a bunch of stuff, but I'm like, a lot of them were like, it can't be all unicorns and rainbows. I know it's not. 60 or 100 or 200 single family rentals. Like there's always the other side. There definitely is. Yeah, maybe they get a ton of passive income now. They get a system in place, they get the right people in place. But still, to get to that point, it's not just like, add water and there's your chia pet and there it is. Like it was super easy. Like it's more than that. It's time and dedication and sweat and equity. It's
Well,
it's difficult.
that's something else that's fun because my dad is in his passive income years. My mom and dad both, right? So them being involved in IBC, again, there's natural conversations there. And dad and I have even talked about, buying a skid steer or something like that he could do part time and enjoy it. It would be something to tinker with. And then my son's a diesel mechanic. Okay, cool. He can be the mechanic for the business, right?
Yep.
There's endless opportunities. I've
Or
looked
lease
into
it
the
out.
note investing. I'm extremely interested in that. Yeah.
Yep. Nelson talks about that in equipment financing, right?
Yep.
Bingo.
Buy that skid steer and lease it out.
Lease it
Yeah.
out.
I mean, I'm with you, man. It really is, as Garrett Gunderson likes to talk about, your investor DNA. I mean, I got
Mhm.
started in real estate like everybody, saying, oh, that's what everybody's talking about. And I think real estate is a great way to wealth. But the type of real estate that I got involved in was not, it did not align with my investor DNA. I don't want to own houses and play landlord. I don't want to flip houses anymore. I hated that. And just
Who knew?
people you got to deal with along the way. So eventually it's fun. It's a process of elimination sometimes.
Mhm.
So that's good. And learning from other people who've tried this or that and figure out, why don't they like that? It may not have worked for them. Maybe it will for me, but why didn't they like it? And like you said, take a mental note of it and,
Yeah.
and just put that back there and keep building those notes for opportunities to come your way.
It's funny. I was reminded when I was a kid, up until I was, I don't know, 16, 17, I worked for my granddad part time and he had rental properties all over the place. And obviously the numbers and times were different back then. But then it brought back almost horror stories of all the nastiness. And guess who was the one that got voted to go down the hole or get in the attic or in the basement or whatever? And I said, you know what? I don't want to do that.
Do you have some friends that are mice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I like, answer me this. We probably have listeners who, I mean, we certainly have somebody listening they've started their IBC journey. And I talk to people all the time. They're like, yeah, I told the co-pilot I was flying with about this, or the captain I was flying with. And they told me I was stupid and, whole life is a terrible thing, terrible place to put your money and all this. You've already said you got guys that you work with, give you a hard time about IBC. What is the most common thing they say to you? And then how do you handle that?
I just pepper them with truth, honestly. I usually ask them because we had 401k there. Hey, can you get to that right now? If an opportunity or an emergency happened, how are you going to handle that? right? Aside from taking a 401k loan,
Mhm.
unless you just have a wad of cash stashed, it turns out a couple of them do. It's kind of funny. I said, what's wrong with you? There's a place you can put that, right? It can do something for you. Walking around like DB Cooper, what's your deal? But besides those two guys, it usually poses a pretty good question. And I'm not mad at them. I know it's foreign. It's completely different than what the world is telling us. So I try to have grace with them. But it's always a funny thing when new guys come in or they spit one of the guys on rotation. It's always a joke. If you go to Wes's crew, you're going to hear about Jesus and life insurance. I hope you get ready because I know I'm going to have the podcast on the whole time. We're not going to jam out until the job's done. We're going to listen to IBC. So
Really?
whether
You
they
play
like it or not,
podcasts at the job site?
obviously there's when it's warranted, right? I can't be having it when they're lifting hot wires and things of that nature. But we're on the ground and we're framing and we're knocking stuff out. We're doing maintenance stuff and it's not hot.
Yeah.
They're going to hear it whether they like it or not.
That's great, man. I guess it's good to be king as a foreman. You get to control the radio, huh?
Well, eventually you'll be old
That's right.
enough where they'll consider it wisdom. You're still, kind of young. So, maybe another decade when you enter your 50s, they'll start to look at it as wisdom, which it is. So all you can do is what you can do, right? You keep just spreading the good word. That's all I've ever done. And people take it or leave it. The ones that are interested will continue to be interested and seek more knowledge. The others will not. But to answer that question, that what are they going to do in that emergency or the opportunity? They're going to liquidate cash in some form to take care of that problem. That's what they're going to do. We're going to interrupt growth of money in some fashion to do that thing.
I obviously have a passion for the line world, and it's such a brotherhood. Anytime you meet a lineman out and about, it's a lot like firemen. You automatically have that connection. You're doing a crap job sometimes, and it's not always fun. And so there's a respect level there that's just natural. And for guys to be able to take this and do this and not beat and break their bodies down their entire lives, I know it would be a complete game changer. I'm living proof of it right now. And I know 3 or 4 other linemen that are doing it as well. And every one of us have such a different peace of mind. And some of us are further along than others. So some of those guys' numbers look really healthy right now on this journey. That gives you motivation, right? And if you can do that in the industry that you're working in, everybody's supposed to be in 2 businesses anyway, right? So shame on me if I'm not sharing this with other linemen.
I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Well said, man. Shame on you for not sharing it because it's something good. Why would you keep it to yourself?
Spread the good news.
Yeah. What kind of message do you have for somebody who's like sitting on the fence? They're debating it, but they got all this noise coming in one side saying whole life is stupid. Put your money, max out your 401k, do all these other things. What do you say to that person who's kind of they're on the fence and they don't know which way to go?
I just say challenge your thinking first of all. Start here. Start at the foundation. If you're not a reader, it's no excuse. There's too many podcasts now. There's too many ways to educate yourself, right? If somebody reaches in your back pocket, you tend to remember that lesson. You got to get pissed off enough to get educated, though. You got to do something about it. And so I can't stress enough to just look into it. I thought one way too, just a few short years ago. And now I completely changed 180 degrees my way of thinking on banking. And again, it's not a product. This is the superior product, right? This is a way of life. This is going to change your entire family and everybody coming after you. It's guaranteed. I don't know why you wouldn't want to do that.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, I want to buy some from Wes right now.
Wes, I got a convertible term policy. Can you help me put a new whole life policy in place? I need some guidance.
Absolutely.
No, I think a lot of the issue for most people is that they think product instead of process. Like process never really enters their mind because they've never been taught to think in the financial realm about a process. They've never been told to think about the banking function. So it's a completely foreign concept right out of the gate. And then you sprinkle in, oh, by the way, and the way you practice this is with dividend paying whole life insurance. They're like, oh, their head's going to explode. That's why it's very unique. I mean, you're one of several hundred clients that we have right through the podcast. And that's, when you look at the entire, that's very rare. Like you're a top, 0.01% in my book, because this is not just, oh yeah, just throw money in the mutual fund or buy that stock or dollar cost average. This is something completely different, right? And it takes effort on your part to actually understand, what they're saying in this book and then put it into practice. So my hat's off to you, Wes. You're an outstanding client and advocate for Nelson's message and the Wealth Warehouse podcast. And we, continue to appreciate that very much.
I appreciate it, brother.
And just a good dude. I think that's like one of the best compliments you can give another dude is you're a good dude. So thanks, Wes.
And he's an Army guy,
guys.
Right? Wes, you're a veteran, right? You were in the Army.
Yes, sir.
What did you do in the Army? Let's tell the audience.
Sit behind a 50 cal as a gun truck gunner the whole time.
There you go. Were you in 88, Mike?
I was.
Yeah.
I was 88 and a 21 Echo.
Okay. Right on.
Right on. You still got your hearing?
Huh?
That's
Is
all right. You got 10%
loud?
for tinnitus.
Electricity can be loud if it doesn't go your way.
Right. That's my
No
point.
joke. Yeah. Well, hey, Wes, thanks for joining us, man. It's been great to have you back on. I forget, it was like over 120 episodes ago that,
right.
that you were probably on the show.
It was episode 100.
Episode 100. So if you haven't listened to episode 100, go back and you'll get to hear actually from Wes, our current guest, from our producer, David, and his wife, Rebecca. They're on the show as well. So, yeah.
And
go back
Doc.
And the doctor. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, man. So I love your journey. I love your story. You started out, had some rough waters, made mistakes like we all do. And then you righted the ship and you're moving forward and you're putting things in place so that your family comes along with you, which is, one of the greatest things you can do as a father and a leader is bring other people along with you and pave the way for them. Like you said, you don't want to leave them sad and poor when you graduate. You want to leave them sad and wealthy because you certainly want to leave them sad, right? Or
that's right.
If
I've
not
got some
sad,
legacy.
then, yeah.
I wrote a legacy letter, and there's some funnies on the end. I'm sure they're going to read that and go, "What in the world?" But it's all right when they get that check.
Yeah. Well, we won't be delivering that check for many, many decades.
Yeah. I'll most likely be dead.
We're both older than you, so yeah, I guess
yeah,
time is on your side. Yeah.
I appreciate
All
it,
right.
fellas. I can't tell y'all enough how much it's meant. Thanks.
Yep. Thank you.
So if listening to Wes today, our outstanding guest, clicked for you today, here's what you could do next. Go to the wealthwarehousepodcast.com. Take our free course. It's completely free. It's not like a ClickFunnels or anything. It's completely free. Take the course. Read Becoming Your Own Banker. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm holding it in front of the screen. This is my original copy. You can read this book. This is the first book I read. This is The Case for IBC. Also a great book. Can't go wrong with either of them, quite honestly. But those are the books that got all of this started. We were all where you might be at once upon a time. We were all there. Doesn't matter, right? You got to start somewhere. And once you've done that, book a 30-minute strategy call with either Dave or me, and we'll give you some very straight talk of whether you can implement the infinite banking concept or not. Anybody can. The question is, do you have what it takes?
Yep. And if you know a Wes Howard in your world, Someone who works hard, who thinks long range, who prioritizes his family and his legacy, and they haven't heard about the infinite banking concept yet, send them this episode. Listen to it on the job site like Wes does. One conversation can change the direction of a family for generations, and they'll thank you for it. We've watched it happen. This is the Wealth Warehouse Podcast. Thanks for being here. Until next time, control your capital.
Or somebody else will.